Let me just go to my channel, check my audio. Won't load. All right. I think I'm live though. Give me 1 second. Yeah. All right. Hi everybody. I'm going to work on the next character sprite, I believe. Maybe I should reopen the skeleton one. See what I got for a second. Right, last time was that not finished? I might have restored an old version. Anyway, we finished that. And then I have the export saved. It's fine. We had everything I finished last stream actually kind of blew up on me. I tried to change something about the file structure in Godot, and I just tried to make a new folder, and it looked like it made everything kind of half copy into one folder, and then everything got moved, and I had to restore a bunch of stuff, but everything's pretty much back to the way it was. I fixed all that, except for, I guess, that file, but that was pre-export. We finished the skeleton animation, and now I want to move on to another one, and trying to figure out which one I want to do. So I've got my spreadsheet here, all of my ideas I've jotted down for different characters. So I've got a name of a class, and then just kind of a general blurb about what I think their main role would be, my ballpark of where I think their stats might be at, and then some ideas for skills, and then some fusion ideas here. And then I have all the skills laid out where I'm trying to get more specific. And then mechanics, which are trying to track each individual game mechanic and then figure out which skills interact with them and how, and then make sure each mechanic is being interacted with by enough skills. Items haven't really worked out. Skill property, that's kind of the anatomy of a skill. The other thing I could do, I could do a character animation. Under mechanics, I have these ideas for the summons that could be the result of a skill. So these are all some ability that I've come up with relates to one of these summons. So I've got sheep, snakes, and skeletons done. And the mechanics of the whole game can't really be complete until I have at least the minions done as far as character animations go. Because, like, I could do any number of classes, but they have to have... If the skill's going to exist, the minion has to exist to summon. So from the ideas I have so far, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 left to do. So I'm inclined to try to get them done even before the characters, although they can arise from that. Like, I could do the character, and then in the process of finishing the character, I'm trying to finish out their skills, and then if they have a skill that needs one of these minions, then I'll do that. I kind of want to do a character animation, like a full enemy class, just to break things up and have a bigger one. And I've been kind of staring at the same, I think, 6 for a while now, so I kind of want to do one. So maybe, I mean, alternating between, like, maybe 8 of those and 8 of these until I'm done with the minions. So kind of heavily weighted towards finishing these up, but I mean, that all needs to be done, so breaking it up with some character animation. I'm trying to figure out which one I want to do. Um, I don't want to animate a horse today. I don't know how. I need to look at how a horse moves. Snake was bad enough. I mean, it's okay what I've done, but that was the first one I ever did. That's rough. A horse probably isn't even as bad, but I'm not super excited to draw this one. Illusory double. Yes, maybe like a ghostly humanoid shape. I wonder if I mean, anybody can summon an illusory double, so I don't necessarily want it to match the sort of proportions of any particular other character. The imp, that could be fun. Soldier's one where it's cool to draw armor. I do want it to fit into like space with other classes of characters that have armor, where the soldier is kind of like a toned down version of it that doesn't draw as much attention as a main class. Leech probably has a similar body plan to Snake, but there's lots of different directions I could go with that one. It'd be cool to draw something a little more monstrous. Frog would be kind of fun. This courtesan, these are like a minion that can possibly charm the opponent. And wolf. Honestly, this looks like it might be difficult for me to wrap my hand around. I mean, I'm no artist, so I'm like even trying to figure out how to draw all these humanoid shapes is tough, and then I don't know, trying to learn to draw animals is like, should be fun, but it feels daunting. And then I've got all my classes, and I could pick any of them. I might do one of them. I'm between picking one off this table or doing, what did I have? Maybe an imp or a frog. What I like to do is, for example, let's say I was doing monk. Got this pulled up here. I just like to look up magic cards and sort of use that as reference. So, let me fix this. I'll just Google monk, not Google, search on Scryfall. And I see right up at the top we got like the new Final Fantasy ones, which are more like specific characters. They could all be kind of described as a monk, and it is like Final Fantasy is a traditional RPG that's a lot like the type of game that I'm inspired by and I'm trying to make. But the characters are very specific. Like Tifa is Tifa. She's not just I don't know, the most monkish monk. I don't know. Like when I'm looking for visual design elements that I can draw from, Magic has a lot of art that I can sort of look to for inspiration. So like that looks very monkey. Is Zelda monk? Okay. Yeah, I guess so. Something like this. I mean, you automatically think bald head, robes, spear's kind of cool. Mechanically, let me see what I had in mind for it. So like if I go to the skill table, it's kind of alphabetical. Some of them might show up elsewhere on the list, but yeah, calm mind and meditate and then physical abilities that I didn't write down. So I mean, I did. I'm thinking of more like a hand-to-hand melee type of D&D monk. So I'm probably not going to go for depicting it with a spear. Generally try to avoid taking too much from, like, and magic's not the only source anyway, but like if I'm just browsing, like legendary creatures are, that's not just in, what do you call it? Like the platonic ideal of a monk. It's like, this is not just a monk, it's Narset. Um, that looks pretty cool. I like that. I mean, it's a very specific depiction with like the flaming hands or whatever, but like the idea of having just like, hands moving so fast that it creates like an after image. This looks very cool. The beads are pretty common. I mean, I'm not entirely familiar with like the actual real world cultural significance of those, so I'm not sure about using it. But I mean, you see it in um, video games all the time. Even I think like Pokemon had some monks trainer class, right? That had those. Maybe the mediums did. What do we got here? I mean, some of these don't really scream like a typical monk. And I want to put my own spin on it. Like I um, change features where like some of the faces don't look entirely human, but I'm not necessarily just like picking like the magic's version of like a Jin monk and then going for that, or a rhinoceros. But I'm looking for inspiration. I'm looking for like visual design elements. Poses too. So something like that. I don't know if that quite fits in like a square sprite like I'm trying to do, but this is from the D&D set, but Rasad really is like what I think of as a D&D monk, Let's see. That's a good one. See, I wouldn't go for the spear. If I want to have them hold like a weapon, maybe the staff. It's something that can add to the silhouette. I mean, even like holding it like he's doing, where like part of it goes behind. Anything that really looks like magic, I'm not so much in for. That's not really the class I'm going for. But yeah, I mean, it's just browsing. Okay, that guy. That guy might be more of I have monk and I have martial artist. That's why I do have the distinction of like those are two different things. Um, this one's cool art. And then another thing I can check is like, it's not my style of game exactly, but like just kind of like what other RPGs have done. Oh, wait. Before I get too deep into this browser, I just realized I don't have the ad block on this guest profile, so maybe they'll be careful about that. I mean, the Dragon Quest wiki is fine, but I can't just pull up any web page till I fix that. I mean, that's a very like typical depiction of like a fantasy monk. Um, hmm. I mean, they're leaning more martial artist though, right? Like, if I bring up my spreadsheet, I had two different ideas for classes. I had martial artist would be like, you know, the D&D monk that like they use their fist as their main weapon. Um, and then I think the idea I had was that if you fuse it with a cleric, you would get a monk. So that would be like the more religious connotation um, side of it as well. Which is why I gave them like more calm mind and meditative abilities. And then like they would inherit the physical abilities from the martial artist when you fuse them. But I guess I want this to focus on the more like meditative side. Hmm. There's like 3 pages of monks. I guess I thought there'd be more. So what was the closest to that? I mean, so like the basic martial artist class, and I wanted to like strip away some of the connotations of like a D&D monk, which is all of these things combined. To be like when maybe you recruit a martial artist is like all they have is physical abilities, and then you combine to get that sort of class fantasy. I wouldn't necessarily think the martial artist would have. Yeah, I have them having the after image ability. I don't know if I want to depict them visually as like so supernatural. I mean, this might be closer to like a meditative sort of look. Could have them crossing their legs and let me just pass over this again, see what I've got. Okay. Um yeah, I had this called Paladin. I wasn't super happy with it. I actually like the shape and all that as a silhouette. Problem with this is the mace. When I drew this pose, I was envisioning it like raising it and then like kind of pounding it, and then the cape comes up. Um, you know, something different, a little different than what the other, I guess, the skeleton and the knight were holding their weapon in one hand, and I just wanted it to be two hands because I was trying something different. But if it raises it up, and I was just thinking like pound this mace, but I don't like that it would cover the head. I'm not really happy with that. So I mean, I could have it like, you know, be brought up and at this sort of an angle and sort of swing it through. And I'm also not sure if I actually want it to be a paladin. I worked this shape out, and I came up with this idea for like an eyeball shaped helmet. And then I just put spikes on it that kind of make it look like eyelashes or whatever. But generally like eyeball shaped. Um, just thought it looked cool, but it's a little bit, I don't know. It might end up being like a Dark Knight type of thing. But I'm gonna start a new one. I picked the monk to illustrate just generally how I go about things, but I don't know if that's actually the one I want to do. Hmm. Let me just go over my other options. Pyromancer seems tough because I'd probably have to have some fire effects. I mean, partly the space is like doing some and then trying to figure out how the other ones can be different enough from it to be unique. So, you know, if I have multiple characters that use a bow and I do an archer, and then the next character, I'm like, okay, well, I need to find every way that it's not the archer that I've already done. Yeah. Well, maybe I should just do martial artist then instead of monk. I'm kind of just chilling until people show up. It's a bit of a slow stream. I started late and it's not gonna run long. I like everything about this card art. I like the pose. I don't want to completely rip it off. I think I like the, you know, baggy pants sort of thing that this is going for. This is really cool. Yeah, I do like the staff. All right. Gotta figure out what we're doing for pose. So, I mean, I just roughly sketch to start with, but maybe a hand out. And then if we want to have them holding the staff kind of up here, you know. Then there'd be a fist there holding that. Maybe the head could overlap. We're just like working the shape like. Again, I'm not an artist, so I have trouble with stuff like posing, but their legs probably want to be in like a pretty wide stance. Maybe not like that. Something like that, maybe. Um, like we want to maintain the silhouette, so if this is thickened up, you still want parts to stick out of the body. I think weapons really help with that, and different things like the legs at such different angles is very helpful. This one might be a little too long that way. Like we want to emphasize this one stretching out. Oh, yeah, I'll give more thickness to the pants. And then just lower that. Okay. I think that is good, like having the because I didn't want to with this straight leg just kind of thicken up the lower part. Like I want the pants to look thick, but then just maybe having boots that come out like that would be good. The way that hand is sitting doesn't quite look right, or like the whole arm really. You know, it had actually been so long since I had done a new character animation that I found it harder to get back into. So like the paladin here, maybe not a paladin. We'll see. I did the silhouette and then I just kind of got blocked and I was like, I don't really know how to proceed from here. And I feel like every time I do a silhouette like this, even to start, I'm like, I'm not experienced enough yet to even be at the point where like I remember how I did it. It's like I guess I haven't built up that confidence enough of being able to be like I can do that again. It's very it feels very fluky when something turns out all right still, because especially because I don't know anatomy or anything like that. I just keep doing things until I think they look right. I mean, so that looks not bad, I guess. Okay. Um, this side's a little bit thick. Probably want to reduce that a bit. Just for the silhouette, like we check our lines, we're like, what the curve to sort of makes sense here, and then hmm. That looks a little better. Just check some of my reference again. I think the silhouette looks good, but it's a bit simple. Sometimes what I do is maybe I'll break it into. This is what I guess I would call like just a skeleton, and then I might break it into parts, but then add parts. So like, if I think maybe this part of the silhouette is just missing a little something, I could have some cloth hanging down or just adding in those details. But I guess yeah, we could start on it. So yeah, just start blocking stuff in and defining the shape of it. It might be a little too bright for me to see against that white background. And then that also helps me like kind of define um, just like regions. So, I mean, the head is clearly like this is the head, but like if they have a neckline, that it helps me define the shape of their clothes. I'll figure that out in a second. We'll do ones for the stick. Move that behind, but what I like to do is still have it run through here so that when it moves, I still have a sense of the shape of it and I can just move it as a whole object. Like, just the staff here makes sense, but now I see this in like this one pixel doesn't really look good, this junction here. So it might make sense to just shave that off. Do a torso. I can have a little bit of a maybe that go up to the shoulder there, but the arm could overlap it really. some parts of the torso might, like, let's say he has completely bare arms. Some parts of the torso could just be colored like skin if I wanted to adjust it to go a little further into there. But for right now, this helps me identify stuff too. Like, for example, this shoulder is very, very flat. I mean, I don't know. I don't want everything to be like completely rounded. What I could do is like bring that down. Hmm. No, I don't know. I think I'll probably bring it up and just have the shoulders sort of prominent, you know? And then, like here, I said you could have a neckline, but it wouldn't necessarily be like, I mean, it could be triangular, but maybe even a bit square. I actually kind of like how that looks. Yeah, that's not bad. Um, Behind the torso would be the right arm, and I don't go based on like what they like from the character's perspective. I just go by mine because it makes the most sense. See, I can turn off the torso and just make sure that like this arm extends part way in, and then if for any reason part of it separates, like I can tell that it's part of the arm. I treat them as like real objects. And yeah, it does need to be in front of the staff. There are parts where some parts might be partly in front of one layer and then partly behind another layer, and then I can just kind of work with that. I can just either adjust that like on a pixel level or separate it into multiple layers. Left arm would be in front of the torso. What layer has a yellow dot? Okay. That thumb is probably going to have to change. Partly this process is like I don't draw or sketch these characters before. I'm just figuring out what they look like now. These legs, I don't know what. Like you look at the pose and then you try to figure out like what kind of idle pose they're gonna have. So you might like bend back a bit, kind of like bend on that knee and like lean in this direction. So actually, the whole sprite should maybe be closer to the bottom left corner. And then the legs would probably have a decent range of motion. So in this case, it might make sense to have like these sort of hip area be completely separate and then the legs move relative to that. Um, let's see. I mean, they could have like a sash around here that could like cleanly divide them anyway. But so I guess it doesn't super matter whether it's on top or below the torso. I guess I'll just draw it on top so it's easier to see. Oops. I could just well, it's not the same color, actually. I was gonna say you could reuse a color if you're sure they're not going to touch each other, and I'm sure the hips are not going to be touching that staff. I don't know. This is pretty rough, but it's at least like good to know where like the crotch is essentially. I mean, that's just it. Like they're kind of like leaning forward, and that's sticking out a bit. I don't really have to do the whole left leg all at once. In fact, it might be a bit much. Um, yeah, I mean, it's not impossible, but treating. I mean, I treated the arms as one. Breaking parts at joints makes a lot of sense. Especially these are pretty long. I think I could probably get away with the arms like animating in one piece, but I might want to know where. I think I want to know where the knee is. So that covers, and then that should be really be like a rounded. connection with that. Well, I don't know that. If not like fully rounded, then at least. Well, maybe that should be. That'd probably be enough. Let me just get that darker. It's easier to see against the background. Sometimes I put like a whole background against it, but I guess we'll do. I just did upper, and I shouldn't have because I colored in everything. Okay, let's actually figure that out then. That's probably enough. Okay. Just figure that out. Gonna have a little bit of overlap here. Or like this ball is sort of the knee. Okay, this part's obviously part of the knee. So I can see this is a little less thick than that one, but it would probably be farther back. It seems to make sense. If I've done every part, I guess I've done every part. Okay, so I would just, well, I'll add bits on that sort of flesh out the silhouette, and then make adjustments, and yeah, I can animate from this frame essentially. I'm just gonna take a quick break. I mean, it's human. It's a little bit simple. So this is where I would maybe look to my reference again for inspiration on what I can add. I mean, looking at the space I have, like space between legs is always somewhere. I could add like a loincloth. I had on the knight like a tabard type of thing that hangs down a bit, and then on the skeleton a loincloth. Um, Actually a loincloth on the druid as well. I think like just looking at it, I do want this area to be larger, like baggy pants, which I thickened it up, but now looking at it, I don't think it's like very thick. Which is what I would want more than. Um, I don't want a loincloth. This character should be like mobile, should be using their legs, right? Like they're a martial artist. think we can drop it down to 1 pixel. That looks a little closer to what I had in mind. So this is a bit of a jagged line here. Yeah, that's better. Oh, I also need to figure out whether I want, do I actually want these 2 feet to be perfectly level? Because that just looks a bit static, and it looks like there's no depth to it, so... Let's maybe bring the back one up a bit. And then maybe it's just like foreshorten it. That's maybe about as far as I want to go with that one, but just to like emphasize the difference, this one might be able to come down, so I'll check that. Okay. Let's erase that there. This looks like it's properly connected. This looks a little weird though. Okay, so now this space is made more like oblong. It doesn't look quite as awkward, but... And I don't want a loincloth. But I'm wondering if maybe the space in here needs to be filled out more, like... Not entirely sure of that, actually. me try to move everything. Oh, yeah, I forgot that's weird. It only shows like where one layer is moving, but then it actually moves multiple layers. I think I want it kind of here. Um, I mean, the way they're displayed in game is like, um, they're pretty much centered, but well, I'll raise it. I'll put it to the left, but I'll raise it. That should be enough room to kind of move this arm, right? Okay. Let's take a look at some reference again. I mean, there's like flowy parts, there's stashes. Lots of wraps with like loose pieces. Oh, and then we could do something with like an after image type of thing. It could be part of the animation, might look pretty cool. Hmm. Let's see how that looks. I mean, I want to have like some sort of a belt to separate anyway, so I think breaking that up here and then having a little bit of this might work. I mean, I can use some of those elements in ways that like you don't, you know, it's not directly taken from something. So if I want to tie ribbons around, like, I don't know, be like that too. Kind of like that, especially if it's like thin and sharp. I mean, I could try a few different areas, like, and then pick one, like, or pick a couple. This works. It's pretty normal, pretty standard. It's maybe too much, but I want it to be like thick. I think I may end up having that anyway, just because I want, um, yeah, just separation between the pants. Because I think their uniform might be all one color. Um, I don't know. I don't have the vocabulary for that. What is that martial arts uniform, like a gi? I'm literally just thinking of Goku. But if it's all, you know, if it's all one color, then having something here to break them between the shirt and the pants, that makes sense. Probably be going overboard to put more than two of them, and I do like the one on the staff already. But I mean, you could do anything. You could have stuff around the wrist. They could be a bit different and have a scarf. I do kind of like the bandana. The I mean, they're going to be bald. That's a very typical way to depict a monk in a fantasy game. Um, and I mean, I guess a lot of real world monks too. But the difference is like sitting a circle on the shoulders like this. It just like I'm sure there's a way to like add more shape to the gi, but having something to separate it would be very useful. Like cover up the neck because I feel like however I'm going to do the neck, it's not going to look so good. But this looks all right. Kind of like that. I actually kind of like having a lot of ribbons on it. Not bad at all. Like the more things that add shape to the silhouette, the more it stands out from other pieces that I've done. So Yeah, I do like it. I might be going overboard. I don't. The thing is, aesthetically, I like this, but I don't know if the bandana fits the character really. It just looks a little too plain like this, you know? This looks a lot more roguish, I guess. I think I was thinking of this as a scarf and it looks like a bandana, but I don't know, if I added threads to that, does that help? Not really. I know it needs a bit more shape here. Kind of want to give it like ears. You know, when I think of like this bandana um, face covering, I'm like, kind of reminds me of like Mortal Kombat characters though. I don't know the Mortal Kombat lore though, because it like visually reminds me of more of like an assassin type. But if we're going for like a Mortal Kombat type of thing, kind of works. That just looks like a beard. Um, I mean, visually, if I'm blocking it out, it could just be a beard. But no, I do want it to be a bandana. Okay, all these parts are part of the sash, but I want to copy them into their own layer. All right, so this might be kind of a pain to animate because we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 layers, not including the silhouette. But anyway. So we went from a silhouette like this to this so far. It's not bad. Oh, the wrist wrap. Where is that? It needs to be above the left arm. Well, it is. Oh, it's not showing. Wait. What is this? Oh, I didn't put it there. Okay. I think it's still in the sash. Perfect. It's gonna be hard to actually keep all of my layers straight, but that's pretty good. Let me move this down a bit. Okay, yeah, I said I wanted this to be thick too, eh? feel like the torso could be longer. So let's see. Select the torso, the arms, the wrist wrap. God. I can like click and drag, but bandana head, wrist wrap, left arm. Okay, I don't want the leg upper. Do the torso and then the right arm and the staff, I guess. That is looking better. But I think I'm gonna have to adjust some stuff. And then we'll just bring the whole thing down. The shape of the torso needs to be worked out a bit. Because I kind of brought the upper body up, but and just a tiny bit of volume there is like, so even more. Those 2 pixels kind of do work for me. I'm liking the shape of that. I do. I think it's pretty good. Bring that wrist wrap up by 1 pixel. Oops. then I guess maybe the hand could be longer. Just get that pixel out of the way of the thumb. Some about that is not quite right, because it should overlap. I need to move this hand. And also the hand's probably too big. I like making a fist, but it's like too wide. Yeah, I'll probably just fix that up and then maybe just call it a short stream and not animate it yet. But this is the general outline of the new martial artist. Okay, I guess that's all it needed. Was still wanted that sort of loop over, but all right. Let me just find the right file for it. All right. Yeah, so that's my process of coming up with a silhouette for a new character, really. I guess, yeah, if people were around right now, I would probably maybe keep going, but I was considering taking a break today anyway, so I'll just cut it here. Yeah. All right. See ya. If you catch us on the VOD, thanks for watching. And I'll probably be on Friday and actually animate this thing.